Hello everyone and welcome back to Horror Classics with me, DJ. In the last video we killed two bosses, Plant 42 and Jan, and headed back to the main mansion at the suggestion of Wesker, which after his hasty retreat I'm not so sure is completely above board. But best not to make assumptions. The helicopter when we last saw is still outside. Maybe there is hope of escape. So the first thing we need to do is inventory management, because at this stage of the game we have a few things to collect. Also, if you remember the book we got from the library after defeating Dawn, turns out there was a wolf medallion hidden in the book. Well, I'm sure it'll come in handy sometime, though for now let's substitute it with the crank. The key we got after defeating Plant 42 opens up a couple more doors in this mansion. So let's start our collectathon with a quick puzzle. The puzzle in this room isn't the worst, but sometimes the timing can get me. As long as we stay calm, we should be fine. Behind the hidden door, we find a battery pack. And a hole. Let's blindly hop down there, I guess. In the hole, we can see the sister book to the one we checked out in the safe room, and it also has a medal in it like the last one. So definitely something to keep an eye out for, though for now we're just going to stash it and continue. Hey, a book. Let's give it a read. November 29th, 1967. I can't get out. I've tried every way possible to escape, only to be faced with the reality that I'm trapped. I've been everywhere. The laboratory with the large glass tubes filled with formaldehyde and those dark, wet, eerie caves. What can I do? At first I didn't want to believe my eyes. But that familiar high-heeled shoe in the corridor, it was like reflex. One name came to my mind, Jessica. I don't want to believe they shared the same fate as me. No, I can't give up hope. I have to hope they're alive. November 30th, 1967. I haven't had anything to eat or drink for the past few days. I feel like I'm going crazy. Why is this happening to me? Why do I have to die like this? I was too obsessed with designing this ghastly mansion. I should have known better. November 31st, 1967. It was a dark and damp underground tunnel and another dead end, but even in the darkness something caught my eye. Carefully I lit the last match I had to see what it was. A grave, but deeply engraved into the stone was my name, George Trevor. At that instant, it all became clear to me. Those bastards knew from the beginning I'd die here, and I fell right into their trap. But it's too late now. I'm losing it. Everything is becoming so far away. Jessica, Lisa, forgive me. Because of my ego, I got both of you involved in this whole damn conspiracy. Forgive me. May God justify my death in exchange for your safety. George Trevor. And how lovely. His journal was on his gravestone. But where did it go? Maybe he got infected and somebody thought he was dead down here. Maybe the infection mutated and they took him, just like Lisa, and kept him locked away for later research. Safe to say this company is doing some shady stuff. Thank goodness we have our heavy ordnance. I don't think we will need to be down here again, but boy, if I'm wrong, I might need to break out the grenade launcher. 3 Crimson Heads is nothing to scoff at. We already have hunters to deal with. The last thing that would help are zombies that are basically machines of death. But let's just pick up the dagger and proceed. And while I contemplate making a first aid spray for half a second, I understand that our inventory is about to be full. Let's go ahead and run through the hallway. I would really rather not kill the zombie here, as we might have to come back through, though my memory is not what it used to be. Nice! More acid rounds. And a battery. That should be very useful. Let's head back down to throw some things into storage. Sorry about the goblining this episode, but I'll try to make it quick. And luckily, it was on the way to the next thing we have to pick up. But what's that on the table? A document of some kind. Well, knowledge is power. Let's give it a read. Mail to the Chief of Security. Attention, Chief of Security. Date, July 22nd, 1998, 2:13. X day is drawing upon us. Execute the following procedures within 1 week. Prompt actions are demanded. 1. Lure stars to the estate and obtain BOW's raw combat data against stars. 2. Collect 2 embryos of each mutated species as samples, excluding the tyrant. Dispose of the tyrant. 3. Ensure the complete disposal of the Arclay laboratory, including all personnel and test animals. Disguise their deaths as an accident. When the above procedures are executed, report to headquarters for further instructions. If for some reason you're unable to execute the procedure by the deadline, report immediately. In case of emergency situations, report directly to extension number 5691. Good luck. Umbrella Headquarters, Umbrella Incorporated. Safe to say we were set up. The Umbrella Corporation, a large corporation that is normally in the market for pharmaceuticals, is performing these experiments. And we've been lured here to test how good their monsters are. Well, thanks to the shotgun and the grenade launcher, I'd say we've had a fair time wiping up the mess they left here. Though, how did they plan to destroy this location? I guess this thing goes a little bit deeper. Anyway, I think we have what we need, so let's move on and head to the next area we need to proceed with the story. The next area has us backtracking the way we came from. We aren't headed back to the residence, but at least as far as the pool. It's time to use that crank that we swapped out the medallion for at the very beginning of the episode. But first we need to use the battery to power something. And yeah, if I hadn't taken out the enemies before, this would have been a much harder task. So time and resources well spent. While we make our way back, I would also touch on another topic that makes this game stand out to me. We've been through many areas of the game, and Resident Evil makes great use of backtracking. It can be a little dull at times, but it sets up for a lot of things, like new possible enemies that would subvert your expectations. The introductions to the Hunters is the most obvious, but the Crimson Heads were also added to the remake to help keep players on their toes, and it's a wonderful answer to the problem of there's nothing for me to do in this area, I've done it all, because oftentimes in Resident Evil, you just haven't gotten far enough into the game. These little snakes are a bit of a bigger issue than most people would think. It's true that they don't really do much damage when they bite you, but the chance for poison is fairly decent. Luckily, we don't get poisoned by the one that bites us here. And with the battery in place, we're ready to move on. So let's head back to the pool and fill it up. But while we're moving down to the next area, let's go back to the subject of the game. The remake has quite a bit more to offer than the normal director's cut for PlayStation, and this next area is one example of large changes they made during development, just as the Crimson Heads were added and the location of the crank that lets us proceed to the residence earlier in the game. Okay, you can feel free to call me a coward, but I don't like this next area. It makes me quite uncomfortable. My goal is to spend as little time here as possible. Luckily, it's not a terribly long segment. These are the caves, and they're a fairly dangerous place. You won't really find zombies here so much, and there are quite a few things that can outright just end us. So after I do a little bit more inventory management, I am going to go ahead and save, but I think we should be fine through the majority of this place as long as we stay calm and collected. There is something to be said about this place otherwise, though. I know I said I didn't like it, but the ambiance here is on point, and they really did a good job with making sure rooms are distinct enough to where I won't end up just wandering around for a few hours like I do in other games. Setting my feelings aside, it really is a great area that sets the mood wonderfully. There's something wrong in this cave, and its oppressive atmosphere is palpable. So a traitor lured us here by orders of Umbrella, and now they are giving us the shaft. How fitting. All joking aside though, we will need the shaft a little later on, and we need to find the battery for the elevator here. So let's move on and keep exploring the cave.
Is that you, Jill?
Is that voice Enrico's?
Yeah?
You're alive!
Stop! Are you with anybody, Jill?
No, but why?
The stars are finished. Someone is a traitor. Umbrella set us up.
Enrico! Traitor? Who?
Excuse me, sir. I've got a person to avenge. Luckily, we swapped over to the grenade launcher from the shotgun. The shotgun was really great, but we were getting pretty low on ammo for it, all things considered. What a time to miss, but at least they're just normal grenades. We should be alright. One grenade is enough to get these things' health low enough that pistols become an option. Though we will need to be careful if we run into another. On the subject of Enrico, his crank might look the same as the other crank we had, but it's different, trust me. It lets us continue on to the next area, which, after a bit of shuffling around my inventory, I decide it's best to just slap the 18 acid rounds we have into the launcher. We'll need them for what's coming up. It's a bit of a doozy. Remember when I said that this cave was full of stuff that could simply end us? Yeah, that was one of them. But with that safely dodged, I think we should be home free. Let's keep our wits about us though. I would hate to die to an instant kill mechanic. Gonna be honest, I panicked a bit, because I know they are going to have blue herbs right after this room. But I did have to go back to the box to deposit some stuff. I'm not sure how I flubbed that boss fight as much as I did. But despite that, we won. Another boss in the bag. After we loot the room and take care of the poison, we should be good to go. And hey, after disposing of this spider, we'll find a map. Always a handy thing to have in a cave. But we're already out of time for this episode, so let's head back so we can wrap up. As always, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, you're doubly awesome. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I've been having a lot of fun making this series so far, but I'm really ready to get back to more Zomboid or Kenshi in the future. Anomaly is also coming out for RimWorld, but I have a bunch of upcoming releases that I'm interested in already, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, stay awesome, and I can't wait to see you again on Horror Classics. And as always, keep it real.